Hi, I'm Pastor Krysta Rexrode Wolfe with Cross Lanes United Methodist Church. Today, I'm happy to live in Cross Lanes, West Virginia, but on May 24th, 2011, I was a seminary student, spending a May semester in Salisbury, England, studying at Sarum College. On that day, I, along with many of my classmates, traveled to London to celebrate Aldersgate Day, which is a day we remember as a day of great transformation in the life of John Wesley. John Wesley had grown up Christian, born in 1703, living in the parsonage where his father was the pastor. He had learned his best, most lasting understandings of God at his mother's knee. He was a professor, pastor, theologian, and missionary. But we remember on May 24th, 1738, that he was greatly transformed. His heart was so moved that he was no longer satisfied with the ways he had known God up to that point. He had to love more deeply, reflect more publicly. He had to share a gospel of grace and assurance. And for him, there was no more obvious a path than to do all those things with as many people as he could gather. On that day, he was transformed. But on that day, there also began a transformation of Christianity worldwide. To tell us more about this holiday and John Wesley's experience in London almost 300 years ago, we have with us Reverend Chuck Riecks.
Hello, how are you today? This is Chuck Riecks. I wanted to talk to you today about a very special day in the life of our church, Aldersgate Sunday. Within churches throughout the world that trace their heritage to the life and teachings of John Wesley, what is called the Aldersgate experience is celebrated on the Sunday closest to May 24th. Our churches do this to remember the importance of the Aldersgate experience in the life of John Wesley, especially as it relates to the history of how our church came to be. The Aldersgate experience seems to have really set John Wesley on his own personal road to what he later referred to as true holiness. However, as we celebrate the change that occurred in John Wesley's life on that day, let us remember what a former president of Southern Methodist University, Dr. Humphrey Lee, asserted. The Aldersgate experience was not an evangelical, but a mystical conversion. Now, by this Dr. Lee meant that as he and many others see it. The Aldersgate experience was the conversion of an already religious man to a higher state of religious devotion. In other words, on this particular day in May, John Wesley did not, to use more modern terms, give his heart to Christ. Indeed, prior to this experience, Wesley had become not only a minister within the Anglican Communion, but a missionary with the Society for the Propagation of the Gospel in foreign parts. And, along with his brother Charles, they had sailed for the newly founded colony of Georgia in 1735. And then in 1738, Wesley returned to England from his Georgia work, not coincidentally, just shortly before he had his Aldersgate experience. And this experience of John Wesley's did not occur within the context of his chosen church, the Anglican Communion, but within a group meeting of Moravians, a tradition coming from the German Anabaptist movement. But enough of this commentary. What was this Aldersgate experience that we are celebrating today? Let us hear from John Wesley's journal in his own words. In the evening, I went very unwillingly to a society in Aldersgate Street, in London, England, where one was reading Luther's preface to the Epistle to the Romans. About 9:15, while he was describing the change which God works in the heart through faith in Christ, I felt my heart strangely warmed. I felt I did trust in God and in Christ alone for salvation. And an assurance was given me that he had taken away my sins, even mine, and saved me from the law of sin and death.
John's heart was strangely warmed, and because he heard and responded to a deep calling upon his life, there are today 13 million Methodists worldwide. In the U.S. alone, there are 680 mission personnel supported through Methodist-affiliated churches. More than 130,000 lay volunteers every year perform mission through Volunteers in Mission. 560 relief and refugee workers are supported by United Methodist churches. There are 75 children, youth, and family service providers. 52 United Methodist hospitals, 95 United Methodist colleges, 13 United Methodist theological schools, and every year over $6.4 billion raised for the mission and ministry John Wesley birthed all those years ago. Sisters and brothers, today, open your heart to transformation. Maybe even read the book of Romans, that book which inspired John Wesley's understanding of grace. You never know what a heart strangely warmed is capable of with God's help. Happy Aldersgate Day.